Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely captivating classic Bengali moral tale. It's a story that plunges into the absolute depths of human despair, but then swings right back around into this awe-inspiring magical salvation, and ultimately, some incredibly striking karmic justice. We're going to unpack the layers of this narrative, exploring exactly how people react when they are pushed past their absolute breaking points. It's a fantastic study of human nature, so let's just get right into it. I want you to start by asking yourself this. When a family loses absolutely everything, what on earth keeps them going? Our story today centers around a guy named Sabuj, his deeply supportive wife, Reena, and their young daughter, Tori. Right at the very beginning of the source material, we're introduced to a family already struggling just to survive. Tori is crying from hunger, facing down meals of nothing but leftover soaked rice, day in and day out. She's just a kid, right? She's wishing for a little bit of fish or meat. And Sabuj, as a father, is feeling that crushing guilt of not being able to provide. But Reena, she really anchors them. She keeps reminding everyone that they have a new shop, and with a little bit of time, their luck is going to change. They are clinging to hope by a thread. Part 1. Extreme Poverty and Jealousy. This setup right here brilliantly illustrates the dynamic that sets the entire tragedy in motion. On one side, you have Sabut's family. Despite their agonizing hunger, they're incredibly humble. Tori actually promises her dad, "Whatever you give me, I will eat." Reena tells Sabuj she feels lucky to be his wife despite all the sacrifices. They're totally grounded in love and gratitude. But then there's the other side of the family. Sabuj has an older brother named Suman. Suman and his wife are watching Sabuj open this tiny new shop, and instead of being happy for him, Suman's wife decides they absolutely cannot let Sabuj's family become richer than them. Their minds immediately jump straight to sabotage. And that brings us to a truly chilling moment. Suman's life comes up with a sinister plot, stating directly, "Listen, tonight when everyone falls asleep, we will set that shop on fire." What is truly wild here is just how casually she suggests destroying her own family's lifeline just to protect her ego. Sabuj poured his entire life savings into this tiny shop. This calculated act of pure jealousy is the catalyst that's about to drop Sabuj and Reena into an unimaginable abyss of suffering. Part 2. Disasters one after another. Now, I want to walk you through this timeline because the sheer weight of these stacked tragedies is honestly suffocating. On day 1, a massive storm hits. Sabuj is trapped inside his shop trying to protect his goods. Suman and his wife actually use the storm as cover to set the shop on fire. Sabuj is trapped in the intense heat and flames, and while he survives, one side of his body is left completely paralyzed. By day 2, Reena realizes the only way to pay for Sabuj's life-saving medicine is to sell Tori's beloved pet cow, Dibli. It is absolutely heartbreaking. Months pass, and Reena is working tirelessly in a brick kiln just to keep them alive, managing to plant a little bit of wheat on their last patch of land. But then Uncle Suman swoops right in and cruelly claims that land as his own over some old dispute. And then, as if the universe is playing some kind of sick joke, the absolute breaking point hits. Just as their final tiny patch of remaining wheat is ready for harvest, a herd of elephants tramples and eats it. Elephants? Seriously, what are the odds? Sabuj family is left with literally nothing. Zero. And that brings us to the absolute lowest point of the narrative. The family hasn't eaten in days. Reena's workplace closes down. Out of sheer desperate survival instinct, Reena sends little Tori to her Uncle Suman's house just to beg for a handful of rice. And how do they respond? Suman's wife actually lashes out at a starving child. She calls them low-class actors and shouts, "Go away from here and don't come to our door for anything ever again." The crucial takeaway here is that Suman's family actively chooses cruelty over basic, decent humanity. Keep this brutal rejection in mind because it makes the eventual karmic justice we're going to talk about feel completely 100% earned. Part 3. Magic Bread and Changing Fate. But you know what they say, the darkest hour is always just before the dawn. Reena and Tori gather up the tiny, meager handful of wheat that the elephants somehow left behind. They pound it into flour to make one single roti. Just one final piece of bread. But then, magic happens. Step 1, Reena makes the roti. Step 2, right before her eyes, the roti transforms into solid gold. No way, right? And it doesn't even stop there. Step 3, Reena realizes that any pot she places the magic bread into also instantly turns to gold. But step 4 is honestly the most incredible part of the whole shebang. In her absolute shock, Reena trips, and the golden roti accidentally touches Sabuj's paralyzed body. In a flash of brilliant light, Sabuj is instantly and completely healed. He stands right up,
fully able to move his arms and legs again. Their extreme patience and suffering have finally been rewarded in the most unimaginable way possible.
Listen to Rina's profound realization here. She says, God took our small things to give us big things. She suddenly understands that the elephant attack, the loss of their land, the devastating fire, it was all part of a massive test. Think about it. If they hadn't lost their normal wheat crop to those elephants, they never would have been forced to make this one specific magical roti. The universe literally stripped everything away to clear the path for their ultimate reward. And because they never lost their morality or their deep love for each other, they passed the test with flying colors. Part 4. Consequences of Greed and Letting.
So, Sabuj and Rina are now incredibly wealthy, wanting for nothing. But what about Suman and his wife? Well, burning with even more jealousy now that Sabuj is rich, they spy through Sabuj's window. They actually see the magic bread turning pots into gold. So, true to their deeply toxic nature, they sneak in and steal it. They run home absolutely ecstatic. Suman places the bread on a pot, fully expecting infinite wealth. But here is the massive, dramatic twist. The moment the stolen bread touches the pot, it doesn't turn into gold. It instantly melts into a massive swarm of flesh-eating bugs. The insects completely swarm Suman and his wife. In their final moments of sheer terror, they realize it was their own greed that doomed them, but obviously it's way too late. The bugs consume them completely, until they just vanish.
This perfectly defines our core concept for today, karmic retribution. In the source tale, after Suman and his wife are destroyed, the magic bread actually speaks to Sabuj and Rina. It explains that sinners shouldn't be forgiven when they repeatedly cross their limits. By continuously acting out of malice, Suman and his wife reached an absolute point of no return. Their own greed, the very act of stealing that bread, became the direct, unavoidable instrument of their own destruction. It is a powerful, unyielding lesson on the dark side of human nature.
And this brings us to a really beautiful final resolution. The magic bread actually offers to stay with Sabuj and Rina forever. But Rina, she declines. She realizes that having infinite, magical wealth might eventually corrupt them too, maybe even breeding the exact same greed that destroyed Suman. They thank the bread, but ask it to return to wherever it came from. They have their health, they have their family, and they have enough to live comfortably on. They actively choose peace of mind over infinite wealth. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative question to ponder today. If you were in Sabuj and Rina's shoes, after suffering so much, would you really have the willpower to walk away from a machine that prints endless gold just to protect your soul? Thanks for exploring this fascinating tale with me today.